Part 62. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 612. 613 Xianxia. The sun and the trees, the shadows of the trees, pierced through the wide leaves, and the light from one leaf shone on the flying carpet in the branch of the giant tree. The flying carpet was dappled with sunlight, and when looking up, you could see a pair of small feet, two small white feet together. Looking further up, it's a shame, it's a hairy leg. It turned out to be this way. We didn't have a formal relationship before, and I don't blame you for not telling me in advance, but you can't keep a secret from me in the future, Huang Zixuan said. She was embarrassed in this tone before, but at this step, Jiao's voice is very natural. Well, no, I still have a secret for you now. All my secrets have been shown to you, someone said shamelessly. Go to death. Huang Zixuan hit the bad guy with her back in a fit of temper, and then she said, I don't care what Yekong is, you will always be my dude. Yekong nodded and said, okay, I will always be your sunspot, and this time back, I want to make our case known to you. Master Ming has formed a formal acquaintance. The southern mainland, whether mortal or monk, attaches great importance to this status. However, how are you going to deal with Sister Ruolan? Huang Zixuan asked again, although she wanted to share her lover with others, but Yekong and Lian Ruolan's firm love also made her trembled and prevented her from being jealous. Yekong thought about it and said, I want to show my identity as soon as possible, and when I go back to Kangnan, I will go to Lingyaoshan to raise my relatives. Huang Zixuan said, I don't think it's right. Although everyone already knows you are Yekong, but if you show your identity, you will be very passive. When you come here, there are fewer and fewer people, and everyone needs unity. If you make it clear that you are Yekong, then the monks in Lingyaoshan and Qingminggu will be very embarrassed. After all, their factions have hunted you down, which will create a barrier for everyone for no reason. It is better to maintain the status quo. They know that I do know. I think it's best to wait for you to go back from Kangbei, and then correct your name, and you have to do a huge ceremony to tell the world that this is the style of the lord of the sect. Oblique the world, like the emperor ascended the throne. Yekong smiled and felt reasonable, but let him bear it again, he could not bear it anymore. Huang Zixuan shouted, what is the emperor? 19 Kangnan houses come to your door. Which one does not control an emperor? As for the emperor of Qinzhou, it is not your word that you can do it. Yekong couldn't help thinking about it. He was originally a son of a general in a small country. Now the emperor has to decide by himself, but why doesn't he have the excitement of being a super emperor? Huang Zixuan also said, I don't think you need to worry about this matter. I will talk to Sister Ruolan quietly when I turn back, and it will be more convenient for our women to speak. See Sister Ruolan's opinion. Yekong nodded. That's fine. Huang Zixuan said, actually, Sister Ruolan is really desperate for you. When you killed the male and female beast that day, you saw the boundless sea of fire, even I was scared back, but Sister Ruolan didn't even think about it. Commanded and rushed into the sea of fire, without considering his own safety at all. Yekong nodded and said, I and Lian Ruolan have reached the point where life and death are inseparable. If any one of us is in distress, we will ask no reason and save the other regardless of consequences. Although this topic was provoked by Huang Zixuan first, she was still a little embarrassed when she heard Yekong say this, especially when she thought that she was frustrated at the time, which made her even more worried. Brothers easy. If it is the next time, Sister Zixuan can do everything for you, regardless of the cause, regardless of the consequences, I can do it. The two of them remained tender for a while, and Huang Zixuan suddenly remembered something, saying, the other day you said you wanted to tell the story of Mr. Dongguo and the wolf. Now it just happens that you have time. Yekong laughed, looking back, how can there be time now? On the flying carpet just now, we climbed to the tree branch again. Huang Zixuan was so ashamed that he couldn't kick someone off the flying carpet. Go. Go to death. We are not monkeys. Monkeys do this on the tree, have you seen it? You are such a hooligan. Be careful not to fall off the tree branch if you stumble. When you fall to death, a monument will be set up to show that this person died on the tree. Wow, you even understand XX. I do know how long after that, the two returned to the gathering place. Although the two were superficial, the discerning person could still see the difference between Huang Zixuan, Cao Junfan, Lan Ming, and other damaging friends, who beat the two men side by side. The story of Mr. Dongguo and the Wolf, it was even adapted by them into the story of Miss Dongguo and the Wolf. A cautionary fable turned out to be an incredibly indecent story, and it was also due to their imagination. However, the growth of women is also very fast. Huang Zixuan, who turned from a girl into a woman, also spoke a lot of boldness. Every time Cao Junfan said, she would sneer, "You can also go with yours." The girl Lan Wuxi went to tell a story about Miss Dongguo and the Wolf. The girl Lan Wuxi was the Yongxiazong girl whom Cao Junfan looked after. Ye Kong paid attention to it. It was a very good girl. The key character was not bad. Ye Kong met many people on the earth and started to get on the road, but he married a woman who was not on the road, so this brother also came to an end. This blue innocent girl is still very good, has no mind, is not so stingy, and is also the core disciple of Yun Xiazong. And Cao Junfan is also regarded as a door-to-door, it seems to be very promising. Every time she was satirized by Huang Zixuan, Cao Junfan immediately stumbled, grasping her hair and saying, "I and she are still friends, good friends." Next, everyone continued to march north, and when everyone broke through, the speed was much faster. Ye Kong has always followed Wu's unspoken words. When he meets the mountain, he leaves, and when he encounters the water, he runs down the river, flying less and walking more, and the journey is smooth. Although it has encountered many different monsters and paid the price of several people, it is very good for large troops. Along the way, everyone blundered, depot, and a few pairs of male nuns such as Cao Junfan and Lan Wuxi looked right, and went out to walk every night. The road cannot be rolled. Go to the grass. As he traveled north, others did know. Ye Kong had been calculating the distance. He heard Yamamoto Kenran said that 10,000 miles north is the range of the demons, so he could let the team exceed this red line, but the problem was come, the old sites of the various denominations present are outside the red line, so why not go? Yuan Ying's ancestors do not need to find the exercises. Did Ye Kong find the exercises he needed? This makes Ye Kong unable to choose. But on the night when everyone entered Kangbei for 2 months, the biggest crisis in history was ushered in. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 613. 6143 Demons. That night, the moon are like hooks, and the stars are bright. The unpolluted sky, the stars, and the moon are all beautifully like a fairy tale world. This night is a good time for lovers to spend the previous month, and several newly connected lovers quietly came out of the protective matrix to talk about love. While others, they meditate cross-legged in the battle, hurrying to practice. In a corner of the large array, there was a black spiritual sitting. It's no surprise that everyone has secrets that they don't want to be known, and they will lay down this matrix of water properties to block everyone's sight. Ye Kong, who was sitting in the array, suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at a golden flying sword that floated in front of him, and showed a happy smile. This sword is exactly that of Sanban Jianren. Immortals and immortals can be used, as long as they are not 9-pin immortals. 9-pin immortals already have spirituality, it does not recognize you as the master, and even immortals cannot command. However, taking Ye Kong's base construction as an example, it is a bit difficult to command the Sanban Xian sword. Even if he refines it, Yekong takes a lot of time. After the spiritual power shadow has been cultivated to the first level, it will be difficult to break through, so Yekong has been grinding this fairy sword every night this month. Faith will move mountains to open. Finally today, he successfully refined the Sanpanek Cyan sword. Although he was happy, the reality was cruel. He felt that 1% of the power of this fairy sword had not been exerted. If you think about it, the fairy sword was originally driven by the magic force, and it was already very reluctant to be driven by the spiritual force. The repair of Yekong's base period to drive the fairy sword is almost the same as a thin donkey pulling a train. It is basically useless and you are not tired. It was half dead, and the train didn't move. Of course, the immortal sword is not completely immobile, but the power cannot be exerted. Yekong uses the immortal sword to confront the enemy. It is better to use a small sword weapon, and the power of Jing Guangxiu is incomparable. But Yekong didn't take it for granted, at least this fairy sword was born sharp. Just as when dealing with the male and female beasts, Jing Guangxiu could not move at all, but the fairy sword could easily pierce the solid skin with its sharpness. Yekong believed that this fairy sword would play a magical role again. As soon as he had finished refining, before he had time to test, he heard a noise outside. Not good. There are extraterrestrial demons. Hissing roar was exhausted. It's Cao Junfan's voice. Yekong was startled, he was a little unbelieving, and there were 3,000 miles away from the red line, how could there be a demons? He couldn't think much about it, put away the sword, ran out of the field quickly, and saw chaos outside. Cao Junfan and several monks shouted in panic, and several female monks were crying. One female monk screamed like crazy. Cao Junfan. What's the matter? Yekong rushed over. At the same time, almost all monks gathered. Three eyes. Three eyes. Cao Junfan was shocked, and some words were confused. But from his confused words, everyone knew what happened. Several of their lovers were hiding outside and nowhere to be affectionate, but who knows that a three-eyed demon appeared. That guy is not only fierce, but also likes to eat a human brain. Cao Junfan and others saw a male teacher in Qingming. The brain was eaten alive by the three-eyed demon, and the screaming woman was the girlfriend of the deceased. When you meet three eyes, don't look back. This omniscient sentence is well known to everyone in the team. Everyone heard that it was a three-eyed demon, and was immediately shocked. When I meet with three eyes, I don't look back. That is to let me run away when I encounter three-eyed demons. Let's leave quickly. Lin Tianwu and others looked at Yekong nervously, waiting for his order to leave. Leave now. Yekong didn't even think about it, so he gave the order, no matter what, I never missed it. However, it seemed a bit late to leave. Outside of the defensive formation, a figure of more than 2 meters was already standing. This was the first time Yekong saw the demon race. The first impression was tall and the second impression was not as ugly as he thought. It has a height of more than 2 meters and 5 meters, and its shape is similar to that of humans, except that it has more parts. It has a closed vertical eye in the center of its eyebrow, so it is called a three-eyed demon. It has 4 arms and only 2 legs. It was undressed and its brownish-black complexion was visible. However, it is not completely worn, but it is decorated with lotus-shaped things on the shoulders and waists, and the key parts below are also blocked. The reason is to say something rather than clothing, because these lotus-like things appear to be part of their body and grow out. Yekongdao feels that this demon is similar to some worshipped King Kong Bodhisattva in earth temples, but the expression of the three-eyed demon is much more embarrassing than the kind Bodhisattva. How many? Someone asked in the chaos. It looks like one, another answered. Everyone's thinking, if everyone escapes, maybe they can break through successfully, save most people. However, the monks of Qixingzong reminded him, it does not have a large offensive. Is it afraid to come in, or cannot break it? Don't panic, calm. Everyone was reminded by this, and they thought, yeah, If it's really so powerful, it has already smashed into a large array and rushed in. Why stand in a daze? Yekong also constantly reminded himself to be calm, don't be frightened by three eyes, after all, this guy has only one, and hasn't seen its strength yet, what is it? Everyone is calm. See what it does. Yekong changed his order. Suddenly, a monk among the monks walked over. Yekong looked up, this man is a male monk in the spiritual medicine mountain. Everyone was stunned, the heart said, this guy is bold enough to take the initiative to test the weight of the three-eyed demon? This is also good, let everyone see how powerful these three-eyed demon are. But when the man was nearing the edge of the large array, Yekong felt that something was wrong. If he really wanted to fight, why didn't he take the magic weapon? The spiritual shield is not open? Nothing. Stop him, Yekong growled. But it was too late, the male Xiu stepped out of the field, walked in front of the tall three-eyed demon, and stood still. Three-eyed Tianmo's eyes flickered, bowed his head, and opened his mouth. I saw three bright red needle-like tongues. Oh, three sharp needles pierced into the monk's head, and then the sound of purring and purring sounded, it really sucked into the brain. Shock. Fury. Everyone present was full of shock and anger. Is this the demons? It is simply outrageous that I don't understand how there can be such a brutal race in this world, and why the founding god created such a brutal race. Kill. Kill it, all the monks roared, non my race, the only kill. To the reader. 8 more cent, thank you friends for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 614. Ancient Legend of 615. Yekong was more excited than everyone else, but he was the conductor here, he was responsible to everyone, he said to himself to be calm. To understand, how did the monk go out by himself? What if everyone gets confused like this? But how can this magic spell break through the defense? Yekong should judge whether to fight or flee based on this. Boom, the monk sucked, his brain fell to the ground. Then, the three-eyed demon contentedly retrieved the 3 scarlet straws, and his eyes looked at the other nun in the array. There was a flash of light in Yekong's brain, and he thought of something. Roared, close your eyes. Don't look at it. The female nun was so frightened that she turned back quickly, facing away from the three-eyed demon. At this time, Yekong saw that the nun was normal, and she even sighed with relief. But at this moment, suddenly she saw her mouth as if promised, hey, then she turned her head, and then, she went out of the field. Looking at her Yekong, she raised her hand and took out the Wuzhuo sword, turning the sword into a rope. Wu Guang flew out to hold tightly one arm of the nun. So at the same time, several other monks also throw out bundles of magical instruments. The female Xiu struggled desperately and wanted to go out. Yekong flew over again, made up for her knife, and stunned her. This one hasn't been resolved yet, and another monk answered, oh, and then went out. Yekong suddenly realized the real meaning of seeing 3 eyes and not turning back, and he shouted, everyone close your eyes. Don't look at it. Turn your back on it. Someone asked you to promise. Everyone hurried to do it, but there was a female nun too nervous, she was fainted, she threw a flying sword, and escaped. But three-eyed Tianmo sneered on his face, 3 eyes opened in his eyebrows, and a white light shot instantly, hitting the fleeing female nun. Oh, Nu Xiu screamed and fell from the air. At this time, the hand behind 3 eyes demon's shoulder suddenly became longer, reaching out dozens of meters, grabbing the corpse of the nun, pulling it to the front, and throwing it under his feet. This time it did not stick out its mouth parts, and it did not eat from the dead brain. The demons are really BT. Everyone who sees the scene can't wait to eat their flesh raw, peel their skin alive, and torture them to death to resolve their hatred. Devil, I fight with you. A monk jumped out, throwing all the magic instruments and spells over. However, it is invalid. The three-eyed demon didn't look at it, and still did the heinous thing. The magic weapon bounced back on its body, and a spell sparkled on it and disappeared. Yekong suddenly remembered that Wang Tingshi had said that the demons could absorb refining aura and temper their bodies without practicing cultivation. It seems that this is indeed the case. The physical strength of these three-eyed demon is no less than that of the Honghuang ancient beast, and I don't know if the fairy sword can be cut. At this moment, the three-eyed demon even spoke. Weak little humble humans. Give up unnecessary resistance. That's useless. The demon clan even speaks people. Everyone was shocked. Everyone thought that the demon clan was similar to the demon clan, relatively savage, backward, and ordinary indigenous people, so everyone was surprised to see it talking. Why can't you speak? The three-eyed demon was annoyed when he was despised, and he shouted, our holy demon Bora is the earliest and most intelligent race in this million world. We have created without your human beings countless splendid civilizations. Weak humans, know why you are similar to our demons, but not as good as ours. That's because you humans were created by our ancestors of the holy devils born in accordance with our appearance. Nonsense. Surprisingly, Tiandao mentioned Hao jumped out first. Tian Hao shouted, my human ancestors were created by the first god. When the first created the world and saw the world was lonely, he made people out of mud and made everything, and at the same time endowed all things with life and humanity as the respect of all things. Since then, the gods have taught humans to set fire, cultivate and graze, intersexed husbands and wives, and proliferated offspring. The gods have taught humans etiquette and shameless practices. The three-eyed demon smirked, you are right. Your humans are indeed our ancestors. They were created by the first in your mouth. But the ancestors created you, but you are wrong. The ancestors created you not because the world is lonely, but a slave created for his children and grandchildren. Food. And a tool for pleasure. Your men are destined to be sucked by us so that we are not hungry, your women are destined to be played with by us and give us offspring. A nonsense, the old Confucianist Lin Tianwu trembled with anger. Human beings should be the spirit of all things, the master of all things, how could they be the food of the demons? The words of the three-eyed demon are too far from the education he received. Even if he dies, he must protect the way in his heart. The three-eyed demon said again, you human beings are the weakest of all races, the most unsuitable for cultivation. How can this be explained? Well, this shows that the ancestors Yingming had long expected you slaves. Will bite the owner, so beware of you. Lin Tianwu laughed, shameless demons, full of nonsense, gliding the world's greatest boss. Human beings are the spirit of all things, commanding all things, being the essence of all things. Are you waiting for food? According to the holy book, human beings have produced countless heroes. I have driven you and other demons several times. Perhaps the demons appeared earlier than humans, but the demons' territory is getting smaller and smaller. It can be seen that you cruel demons are far worse than humans, and sooner or later will be completely destroyed. The three-eyed demons were furious and said, abominable weak humans. If my demons are not having fertility, how can there be a current situation? It then laughed again, but you humans can rest assured that we have found a solution. One day, the world, the three realms, the billions of planets, are all from our holy demon Brahman. At this time, Wang Tingshi whispered to Yekong, my dad has also studied ancient legends. It is said that the children of the original are divided into two categories, one is the ancient god, and the other is the ancient demon. The ancient and the ancient demon look at each other. For enemies, they are always fighting each other, and as the strength of the two fighters increases, the scale of the battle is getting larger and larger. Shi Shen fears that the world that he has built hard will be destroyed by them one day, and that he will grow up in those battles. The rising demon threatens him, so he wants to execute a few demon leaders. Who knows, the gods' wives and children quietly revealed the news, and the Protoss and demons united to insult the gods by a conspiracy. Before the gods died, he cast a spell on the pros and demons, making them impossible to bear. Descendants. Although the gods and immortals will never die, they will kill one and kill one. In the end, the Terran Emperor Xianxia Emperor defeated the gods and won a place for human beings. After countless years of inheritance, there are fewer and fewer gods and humans. More and more. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 615. 16 Days Road Sword Formation. Yekong nodded. If so, it is quite possible that the original god created humans as slaves and food for their descendants. However, human beings today are not human beings of the day. Regardless of the purpose of the original god, human beings will not tolerate being enslaved again. Yekong stepped out of the crowd and said loudly, "Three-eyed demon, even if you are true, what can you say? Human beings have learned the cultivation method, and they are seeking freedom and dignity. I wish to enslave me again and wait, it is daydreaming, let me tell you, let alone your little devil, even if the first comes, do it, no, here." The three-eyed demon slammed back the three terrible devices and looked at Yekong coldly and said, "You are really a little weak and unspeakable slave. You really made me angry. In order to vent the anger in my heart, I decided not to confuse you later. Kill again, but torture you alive and let you taste all the pain and fear." After the three-eyed demon had finished speaking, the law eye on his forehead opened again. This time Fa's eyes emitted a soft and diffused white light. The white light shone on the large array of walls, and immediately heard the Kixingzong people shouting, "Not good, the large array is out of control. The big team has become sleepy. The array is slowly moving inward." The three-eyed demon laughed and laughed, "How can this array method stop us from the demons? Do you know that all aura items and spells can give us demons free control? This is what the ancestors left to we, you humans can never learn." Seeing that the large array turned into a prison, the crowd immediately sacrificed the weapon, but the magic eye of the three-eyed demon was swept again. All the instruments were like waste copper and iron, all fell to the ground and issued a ping-pong sound. Gunkin. Alchemist Zong just put out the energy cannon and was swept away by Three Eyes. These demons really control the Reiki to the point where the fire is pure. As long as the Reiki is a thing, it is swept away and immediately loses effect. Seeing that the formation is getting smaller and smaller, everyone keeps converging towards the center, and the horrors on their faces are getting heavier. If they continue to do so, it won't take them a while to kill them with Three Eyes, they will be pressed by the formation they have laid down. Flat. What to do? Everyone looked at Yekong, although they also knew that Yekong was not a god, but at this time, it was only him who could save everyone and create miracles. Of course, Yekong will not let everyone down. Although the control of the large array is in the three-eyed demon, if the spirit stones in several arrays are taken, the large array will not exist. The large array of eyes was originally in the array, along the inner wall of the large array, and now the large array moved inward, and the array of eyes went outside, so it had to be used. Seeing this thing drill out of the array, the three-eyed demon head was also shocked. I didn't know what it was. I rushed to use Three Eyes and one shot. What surprised him was that Ziliangjing was not under its control. Although things and spells related to aura can be easily controlled by the demons, but the spirit of the spirit is a monster with intelligence, not a thing. With autonomous consciousness, the demons cannot control. Otherwise, the monks no longer need to resist, the monks are full of spiritual power formed by aura. 11 Ling ate the spirit stone, and the large array disappeared immediately, and a few frightened monks fled in panic. But the three-eyed magic forward method has white light strobes from time to time, the speed of white light is extremely fast, and the frequency is also extremely fast. There are several flashes in one breath, and several monks who just flew to the sky have fallen. This eye is terrible. It's invincible. This is the power of the demons, and this is the power that the god gave to his descendants. But even with such a powerful ability, it can never completely defeat humanity. Because at every critical moment, human beings will come out and use deafening voices to tell these gods, I am there. You cannot. Three eyes, maybe you are strong, but when you meet me, your death is over. Yekong walked out of the crowd. The three-eyed demon looked at Yekong with a sarcastic attitude. Say this to me? You're not qualified. Yekong replied, you want to kill me? You are not qualified. Yekong is ready to use the fairy sword. Since this guy is immune to aura items, let you taste the fairy ware. At this moment, Yekong heard a voice from Tiandaemin Tianhao, you can't fight it. Let's come. We have a sword array in Tiandaemin, which mimics the heavenly power of immortals. Yekong was startled, and busy Chuanyan asked, can you kill it? Tianhao smiled bitterly, no, I can only temporarily trap it, wait for you to take everyone away, instead of everyone die here, it would be better to come out and be a sub-hero. Yekong was surprised, and he turned to look at Tianhao. For a long time, he was very disgusted with Tiandaemin. They felt that they were a group of hypocritical gentlemen. They had the truth in their mouths all day, but their hearts were shameless. But at the moment, Yekong's gaze only had respect. No matter what they have done, no matter how helpless they are left, but at this moment of life and death can stand upright, cover up others, and die fearlessly. Yekong can only praise it, you are the real men. Tiandao sword formation, all 6 monks in Tiandaemin came out and surrounded the three-eyed demon heads. Each of them held a magic sword in their hands, with the sword standing on their chests and holding their hands in their hands. He stared at the blade. Tianhao took the lead and sang each one in turn, the road leads to heaven, it is for the heavenly way. It is for the heavenly way to cut off the evil spirits. The death of our generation is for the heavenly way. There is no love in heaven, there is no hate in heaven. Evil, heaven is unreasonable, heaven is impermanent. Heaven is for me, I am heaven, heaven is not dead, my generation will not die. Whenever they finished singing, the magic sword in each of them would light up, emitting the sword light of the sky. The light did not know how much power it had, or how much it was inserted into the sky, shining brightly and shining against the stars of the sky. The three-eyed devil still doesn't believe in evil. Whenever a sword light is erected, it will use the forward method to look at it, but it is surprised to find that the tried and tested method has actually failed. The three eyes that always thought that the cow X was baking were tense. It didn't expect that its magic eye might also fail. It didn't expect that the ants that they despised had such power. The three-armed demon's forearms kept waving, trying to catch the monk at Tiandaemin, and even stretched out 2 hands under his armpit, 6 hands against 6 monks. But at this moment, the monks of Tiandaemin sang in unison, the ancestor is on top, and the team will borrow the law to help me eradicate the evil. I saw 6 sword lights falling from the sky, straight and sharp. When the light hit the brown-red body of the three-eyed demon, it immediately made a crackling sound. There were countless words of sword lights. You can see where the skin is eating away, sinking into a pit, and red blood leaks out of the hole. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 616. 617 Demon Head is dead. The injured three-eyed demon yelled aloud with a headache, while dodging frantically. Yekong was amazed that Tiandaemin had such a skill. The magic head that could not be injured by any magical instrument could not even eat the sword light. However, Yekong also knows that it is impossible for Jianguang to kill the demon head. The 6 swords are too sparse. The three-eyed demon can hide in the gap of Jianguang. If there are more people, there will be more Jianguang. Maybe it really kills the demon. Everyone flee, all the way south. Don't look back, Yekong finally issued an order to escape, and everyone seemed to have waited for the amnesty order. But when they stood on the flying sword, they stopped and looked back at Yekong. How about you? Come on. Time doesn't wait for someone. I will go after you, Yekong roared and sent a smile to Lianrulan and Huang Zixuan. Trust me. I can do it. I will live. Yekong didn't leave to die, he thought about it, and just happened to be trapped by the three-eyed demon, using a fairy sword to kill it. Someone wants to ask, what is it urging everyone to do? You cut and kill three eyes. Yekong can only give you a bitter smile. Brother, I have never killed this thing, I do not know if it has any effect, I just try it. Lianrulan nodded to Yekong, and flew away with the elixir mountain. She has always trusted Yekong, and every time she is no exception, she knows what she can do to help. I won't be a burden here, I believe you will win. If not, I will go with you. Lianrulan thought to himself that Fijian stepped up and shot like a streamer. After everyone walked away and went to the field again, I saw that the 6 sword lights were already much weaker, only the width of the fingers, and now the threat to the three-eyed demon head was even lower, and the gap between the sword lights increased. It can already be interspersed in Jianguang, and it also lengthens its arms from time to attack the disciples of Tiandamen. The heaven is immortal, my generation will not die. I stab evil spirits with my blood. Tianhao yelled loudly and spit out a mist of blood, which is the essence of life and blood, which is equivalent to overdraft spiritual power after use, causing great physical harm. Tianhao's face suddenly turned pale. Tiandao is not dead, my generation will not die. I use my blood to seduce evildoers. The other 5 Tiandamen disciples groaned in unison, and then spewed the essence of blood towards the sword in their hands. Jianguang re-emerged, soaring in the sky. The 6 sword lights were as thick as a cylinder, and multiplied by a few times, for example, and the three-eyed devil was trapped in the gap of Jianguang, making it yell loudly, but did not dare thunder pool step. At this moment, the disciples of Tiandamen are determined to die. They have all made their last effort and let out the last rays of light. What is heaven? Heaven means no distinction between good and evil, and heaven means no love or hate. Is it not so? These cruel and demon heads don't need to cultivate at all, but they have powerful power, and human beings can't overcome them. No. It's not like this. Heaven is not fair, I have justice. The heavens are uneven, I'm here. Dead, Yekong roared, and the fairy sword in his hand turned into a golden changhong. Boom, the head of the powerful three-eyed demon exploded, and the fairy sword really worked wonders for these demons. As soon as the devil died, the strength of the 6 monks of Tiandamen was exhausted, the 6 sword lights disappeared instantly, and the 6 figures fell to the ground, but all exhaled. Finally ended, this game is really too dangerous. If it were not for Yekong, the 6 of them would be dead. They saved everyone, Yekong saved them again. The devil is dead, a woman suddenly shouted excitedly behind her. Yekong fiercely turned around and saw Huang Zixuan standing behind him. Don't let you go, Yekong said badly. He was a little annoyed. Why isn't your girl still trusting me? If I let you go, just go, I said it would do. Don't you know that the foundation of love is trust? Do not believe that I will win every time. Huang Zixuan felt Yekong's discomfort. In fact, she had already left, but she couldn't rest assured that she was out of the brigade and slipped back. But at this moment, no one thought that something happened. I saw the devil who had lost his head, and suddenly he had another head. The eyes of the three-eyed demon are full of hate, and the abominable ants have crushed my head. I will make you pay. Forward method eyes violently opened, a white light hit the back of Yekong's head. At the same time, the 6 arms of the three-eyed demon head were also 3 feet long, extended in 6 directions, and suddenly caught the necks of 6 monks of Tiandamen and twisted them. "Hey brother," Huang Zixuan clearly saw the scene. She was too late to think, she rushed forward and pushed away this beloved man. At this moment, heaven and earth sighed, and at this moment, time stopped. This scene has become eternal. Brother Zizi. If it is the next time, Sister Xian can do everything for you, regardless of the cause, regardless of the consequences, I can do it. The light of death from the wrath of the three-eyed demon penetrating Huang Zixuan's body for a moment, the yellow color will stay in Yekong's pupil forever. Huang Zixuan didn't leave any farewell words, just like other monks, she was blown away. "Ah!" Yekong heard a painful long shout. Raising his hand, he has been reluctant to use the Jupingxian Bao. What to use once less, what spiritual instability, where there is no place to add immortality, everything can be ignored. Cough, the colorful light is like a bright shooting star, leaving the string. Boom, the head of the three-eyed demon burst again. Boom, the head of the three-eyed demon's head just grew, but was crushed again by the arrow that turned away. The three-eyed demon has 3 tongues, 6 legs, and also 3 heads. When the third head disappears, the colorful arrows also dissipate in the air, and the huge body of the three-eyed demon crashes to the ground. Zixuan, Yekong hugged this tender body tightly, feeling the still warm body, his eyes blurred for a moment, and running water covered his cheeks. At this moment, Yekong suddenly understood. Rest assured is love, worry is love. Worrying love is nothing less than reassuring love. Such love is as deep and as heavy as it is worldly. She's not distrustful, she's just too worried about it because of love. There was a shooting star across the sky, so shining, but so short. Although short, but I am enough, as long as that moment, bloom. Even if the earth sinks into a black bald stone, I have no regrets, because I used to light up the entire sky. Light up your lover's heart. I don't know when, all the people who fled just now returned, and stood quietly behind Yekong. Watching him screaming, watching this man who has never been afraid, doesn't step back, doesn't cry, crying like a child. And each of them had tears in their eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 617. Acacia. I want to save her. Suddenly Yekong stood up and turned to everyone and said, I want to save her. You are sad. Lin Tianwu stepped up, looked at Huang Zixuan, and shook his head. Several other team leaders also came to watch, shaking their heads, and no one said cruelly. But they knew in their hearts. The soul is flying away, completely falling, and can no longer live. I want to save her. Yekong held Huang Zixuan's body and roared loudly. Sorrow Lianruolan came up with tears. Recently, she and Huang Zixuan walked very close. The relationship between the two is like a sister. I said I'm going to save her, Yekong also yelled at Lianruolan, but instantly he whispered, I'm sorry. He knew that he had hurt a woman and couldn't hurt anymore. It's up. Don't know and regret every time you lose. But her soul is gone, already. Lianruolan said again, at this time, only she could persuade Yekong. I know, the soul is flying, and it's not saved. Yekong waved his hands, as if the soul had no body, as if to say to everyone, as if to himself, but I want to save her, I must save her, I can't let she died, I believe there must be a way. While Yekong was talking to himself, he went northward, going further and further. Until he disappeared into the sight of everyone, a golden light flew from the dense forest. Lianruolan took the note, froze, and looked at the dense forest, gritted his teeth, and twisted, return. When everyone took off the sword, and she, the one who gave the order, still stood on the ground. Little thief, I still choose to believe in you. I believe you can save Xian. I believe you will be able to return safely. I will listen to you. I have always been obedient. I will take everyone back safely to Kangnan. I will wait for you, even 1,000 years, 10,000 years. After a long time, the brilliance, which cut through the quiet night sky, flew towards Kangnan. Yekong asked everyone to return, but he continued to go north, because he remembered Yu Minghui, and Wei Yang was just a dissipated soul. Yu Minghui could think of a way to find the condensed chalcedony, could I not? Rest assured, Xian, I will let you live. Yekong held Huang Xian's body and arranged her broken hair for her. Continue to the north, it is a dense rainforest, stretching for thousands of miles. The sun has risen, but Yekong can't feel the slightest warmth. A large piece of black pressure on the top of the head, all of which are tall and plump leaves, and extremely thick vines layer upon layer, tangled with each other, completely covering the sun. The damp and cold in the forest is very. What's even colder is Yekong's heart. He has gone all night to take a day. He doesn't know where Yu Minghui went, nor where is the condensed chalcedony. He only knows that the later, the more hopeful Huang Zixuan will be the slimmer. In the rainforest, there is not a wide river. Only here, you can feel a little sunshine. The shattered light, passing through the gaps between the layers of leaves, sprinkled countless needle-like light and shadow on the narrow river surface. Yekong walked along the small river to the upper reaches of the river. He believed that Wu's encounter with the water upstream would definitely bring him good luck. Maybe Wu had already counted it all. The river is very clear, reflecting the shadows of green trees. From time to time, colorful fish swim in the river. Some of these fish make a childlike cry, while others can make a cough like an old man. But all this, in Yekong's ears were all a sound. The voice that has nothing to do with him is only the flamboyant yellow suit in front of him, the crunchy sun's sister in his ears, and the lively girl in his heart. I will be able to save you, this day and night. I do not know how many times to say the sentence. Every time he said weak, he would repeat it aloud, I will certainly save you. He is reminding himself, don't despair, don't despair, don't despair. I can definitely save you. Suddenly, a different voice came from a distance. It was the sound of wading water, and the laughter of a woman. Yekong immediately accelerated his pace, and ran away faster and faster. In the river, several women were bathing and playing in the water. Suddenly Yekong stood by the river, and the women suddenly screamed in shock and shrank into the water. If it had been before, Yekong Ding had to take a good look, but at this moment, in his eyes, it seemed as if he had seen nothing, and in his pupils, he still had only that figure, yes, the woman in yellow. Acacias, Yekong Zhon was ecstatic sure enough. Wu Wazi had already counted it, and it was true that he met the water and went upstream. Those women found out that it was Li Hizi, the new monarch of the mixed Yuan zone. The leading woman was the Hehuan woman who said that he was heartless and heartless. Where is Yu Minghui? Yekong asked in a deep voice. At first glance, those acacia women were Yekong, and suddenly thought. The women of their acacia are just powerful men who attract outside the ancestors and become accomplices, so that they can join the acacia to enhance the strength of the acacia, which is their usual practice. And these women are all non-adolescents. If they can become adolescents with the mixed monarch, or even introduce acacia, how glorious is it? Suddenly, the leading female Xiu stood up and said, Jiao Sheng, Lord Zone, when the girl entered Kangbei that day, the young girl was disrespectful to you, please don't blame it. The young girl's name. Before her name was spoken, Yekong was impatient. I didn't ask your name, I asked where Yu Minghui is. The woman's eyes flashed with annoyance, but she didn't dare not answer, saying, Sir Li Zone, 3 days ago, we met the three-eyed demon tribe, and died several times in the same door. In the end, some of us helped the young master Fias who fled here before falling off the demon clan. but Master Xiao insisted on going to the north alone, and let me wait here. I will wait here for him, and I will meet you, Lord Li. Yekong's brows frowned, and they understood why the three-eyed demon head had penetrated the Xiandi ranch here, and they dared to attract them. The three-eyed demon did not catch up with the Acacia sect, but accidentally hit Yekong and met them. Yekong Gli was annoyed with these culprits. If it weren't for them, why would Xian have the disaster today? However, they can't blame them, they are not intentional, and this is God's will. Wu didn't know it already. Then where do you know the Chalcedony? Yekong asked again. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 619. 619 Snow Spirit Bead Soul Collection. Condensed Chalcedony. The leading woman noticed that Yekong had a dead man in her hand. In fact, it was not her eyes that were not good. The key was that the Acacia woman saw an appearance or a powerful man and seduced him. No, why not pay attention to others? The leading woman blamed herself for her lack of eyesight, and quickly converged, and replied, "Listen to the young master, the condensed Chalcedony is 30,000 miles north, and there is a place called Abyss Valley, but there are countless not far north demons, there may be more demons further north, sovereign you. You don't need to worry about this." Yekong had no intention to talk to her nonsense, and turned away, hoping to step into the Abyss Valley. But then a woman spoke again. All the Acacia women are idiots, and they will fight each other. When they saw the leading woman answer Yekong, she did not give them a chance to speak. A woman couldn't help but want to show it. Lord Zone, if I read correctly, the woman in your arms has lost her soul, and even if she flies 30,000 miles away without hindrance, her body will rot. This was what Yekong was most afraid of hearing. He immediately became furious, turned back, raised his hands, and was extremely slender, bright, and shot with an angry and murderous sword. He arrived at the woman's white throat. Don't look at the slender sword light, but the sword in it is dignified like a mountain, and violent like a raging wave, which scares the woman and makes her legs tremble. She panicked and said, "The little girl wants to say that if you use the snowball beads of this door to converge the remaining broken souls first, then you will have time." When Yekong heard it, he immediately thought of Yu Minghui's fist big bead. If you collect the broken soul first, it will be too late to find the condensed Chalcedony after 3 years and 5 years. Yekong quickly withdrew Jianguang and turned back towards the woman, stunned to the end. "I have offended a lot just now. Thank you for your suggestions. If there is a need in the future, I will do my best." After panicking, the woman was so gifted that she got a promise from Yekong to help her. But Yekong also said, "Presumably you will have Swimizu, please lend me a hand. Well, if you need anything, just ask for a price." In fact, they really took Swimizu, just in the lead woman. This thing is a special product of their acacia, but the output is very scarce, but it is true that generally no one wants it. Condensed Chalcedony has disappeared, what use is Swimizu? What do you do to keep the soul of others? Might as well let it reincarnate. However, it is troublesome to collect scattered souls with Swimizu, and it is not necessarily successful. If you take this broken thing, in case of failure, the debt is completely hopeless. So the leading woman looked at the mouthful woman with anger, blaming her for causing trouble. Sure enough, Yekong said, "Please also help you collect the soul, and there will be a thick report, but if you fail, you can blame me for being ruthless." The leading woman knew that Yekong was definitely not a lie. This kid was called Li Haizhen, and it was not without foundation. Seeing his sword just now, he really killed himself without blinking. "Okay, but can Master Zone let us put on our clothes first?" "Faster." After a while, a few women got dressed and took out Shwesuazu. The leading woman's hands played a few tricks, and Swimizu immediately released a soft haze. You can see the crystal clear beads, with a faint silky airflow slowly forming and rotating. Human souls exist in Lingtai Zifu, but after being dispelled, they leave the body. However, there will always be some scattered souls around the head of the person, unwilling to die, want to return to the body. The light of Swimizu illuminates Huang Zixuan's beautiful face, and also reveals the very faint cyan filament mist in her hair, in the hairline. Seeing the filamentous mist, the leading woman breathed a sigh of relief, and she no longer needed to be buried. After all the scattered souls were collected, the leading woman added several tricks to keep the souls from leaking, so she handed Xue Suezu to Yekong. It's a shame. Yekong wondered, why is this different from the situation in Brother Minghui's bead? I have seen you, Sister Vying, you can say that you are active and have a figure. The leading woman said, oh, Lord, you can rest assured that sooner or later, this girl can be like Sister Vying. Now she can't see it because there are too few pieces of her soul to condense to form. Look at the snowball beads roots of white silk, these rotating white silks will gather all the broken souls, warm up, and the souls will absorb the power of white silks to grow. When they grow to a certain point, they will restore the memory and the image will appear. Then talk to Master Vyang, it's the same, and only then can the soul be transferred to the condensed chalcedony, and the 3 souls and 7 souls can be recovered by dense method. Yekong suspected, we still need to recover the 3 souls and 7 souls by secret method? Last time Yu Minghui said that putting souls into the condensed chalcedony can be done for a while. The leading woman laughed, sect, what is the matter? Do NT need secret law? Some things are simple, but they are not easy to do. It's like collecting the broken soul of this girl, which is simple to say, but if you accidentally dispel all the remaining souls, it is really hopeless. That's really a girl with labor. Yekong quickly arched his hands. At this moment, Huang Zixuan's soul was regained. It can be said that the hope of rescuing her had greatly increased, and Yekong Ti's heart in her throat had also let go. Thinking of scaring the girls just now, she felt a little sorry. 2 girls, one of you reminded me to use Swimo beads, and one helped me collect the soul, which helped me a lot so far. I haven't asked for 2 names, Yekong asked with a smile. I interrupted the self-reported name just now, and now asking for it is an apology. Wow, the cold-faced man finally smiled. Hey, cool. These Acacia women have seen Yekong for the 3rd time today. The first time was Yekong's private fight with Yuan Yuanzong, the second was a chance encounter just after entering Kangbei, and the third was today. Yekong's mood was not good these 3 times, he was stern, like a cold face. With a smile now, the Acacia woman couldn't help but start committing idiots again. Master Sui, my name is Sunana. The leading woman threw a ghost eye. The woman pointed by Jian Guang just now rushed and said, my name is Su Xiao, I'm her sister, and I'm younger than her. Sunana quickly retorted, how big is the difference between the monks? You are not only my sister or my sister, you do not want to grab a man with me. Su Xiao crossed his arms and said, how about, a little day is also small. Men like small. Sunana laughed, it's a big benefit. I practice Acacia 2 levels higher than you, which can make men's training faster and play more enjoyably. Those who are my first red can greatly improve their cultivation. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian. Chapter 620. 6-20 Demon Clan. Your ancestor was stubborn. What did her mother say? Yekong heard a black line in the forehead. What is wrong with her grandma? Give the son an info? No matter what the occasion is, mother-of-law's decent apostles are unknown in terms of life and death. You still do this for me. If not for your help, I really want to give you a meal. What a noise, Yekong's stinky face turned, and the plague god's character was revealed, and the 2 girls were frightened. You do me a favor. What do you need? You need a spirit stone or a magic weapon. You talk, as long as you can take it out, I won't be stingy. Yekong dare not laugh, and said coldly. The sisters were deterred by his fierce anger, How dare they make any demands, and for a long time they said nothing. Well, wait for me to take the condensed chalcedony, then go to Hehuazong to ask you for help, and repay together. At that time Yekong got up and took Huang Zixuan's body. After the soul was collected, this skin bag was useless, but it was still taken back to Kangnan for burial. At this time, Sunana said quickly, Lord Zone, we will not take back the 3 souls and 7 souls. We will have to find our head Yuan infant then. Oh, please Ancestor Yitong. Okay. Yekong nodded and said, I'll go look for the condensed chalcedony. Don't wait for you Minghui, it's very dangerous here, your strength can't protect yourself at all. Hurry back to Kangnan. Then Yekong took out a simple map. This is the map they came all the way, there is a safe route above, all the monsters on this route were killed by them, there will be no other monsters occupied for a short time, it can be said to be very safe. Watching Yekong disappear into sight, Sunana sighed, what a blessing both Sister Viang and this woman in the yellow clothes have, if you meet such an intentional man, you will never worry about it, nor do you know I'm dead and no one can save me. Su Xiao also sighed, yeah, sister, where do you say this good man was found? I have thrown so many winks, but all the garbage men are attracted. Sunana sighed, well, good men have let dogs plan, let's take the others back. A mile away, Yekong couldn't help laughing, only to hear that all good women had been shaved by dogs, and no good man had been hurt by dogs. He raised his hand, and a little golden light quickly caught up from behind, and got into the beast bag. It was about Huang Zixuan's life. He had to be cautious, leaving the golden-winged ants to listen to them for a few words, and Yekong was relieved. Now Huang Zixuan is staying in the swimu beads waiting for the nourishment and growth of the soul. Yekong can't help but look for the condensed chalcedony. At this moment, I have come to the edge of the red line, and go north again, which is the control place of the demons. Yekong doesn't know the situation over there, but I want to come, this trip is very difficult. Yekong thought for a moment, and decided to practice the spiritual power shadow to the 2nd floor before entering the demon control zone. 3 days later, under a small mountain bag in the rainforest, a dark-skinned young man, shirtless, was using a magic weapon to build a mountain. He didn't want to build any kind of dongfu, but just opened a practicing quiet room. It is very easy for the cultivator to do this kind of thing. After a while, a natural cave is formed. Yekong laid a simple array at the entrance of the hole, and he would not be too complicated. Then sit cross-legged in the quiet room and practice with peace of mind. This is located between the Immortal Ranch and the demon-controlled area. Neither side will come here, so in general, Yekong is still safe. He sat down cross-legged and observed his sea of qi with introspection, and found that the spirit cyclone had indeed crooked, and the outer circle of fairy air was only half of the original. This is the reason why he is unwilling to use the fairy bow. Huang Daixuan's death was really worth the loss. Another time, you can't use it anymore. If you use it again, you are really dead. Unless, before that, he can find a place to replenish the scent. Or, find a way to absorb a lot of metallic reiki. It was not his sudden impulse to enter the demon zone alone. In fact, he had been thinking about this problem before, and Huang Zixuan's affairs made him even more determined. He sighed, took out the wild mountain and river map from his arms, and looked carefully, and really found him the place of the Abyss Valley. To his surprise, the sign of the Abyss Valley on the barren mountain and river map turned out to be a small leaf. This is the sign of King Minggu. Obviously, there was the residence of King Minggu 200,000 years ago. Now the demon is standing and renamed to Anyuan Valley. Listening to the name will tell you that this is not a good place. With the position, you don't need to worry about finding it. Yekong started to practice spiritual power according to Ling Ziqiu's comment in Yukang, it is not difficult to practice to the 2nd level. But the key issue is that Ling Ziqiu is an ancient beast, and it is a puppet that is inherently proficient in these magical fantasies, but Ecchi is a personal person. Therefore, many of these feelings cannot be understood by Ecchi, and even the statements recorded by Lingziqiu, Ecchi disagrees. Ecchi wants to practice to the second level, which is more difficult. Rise and fall, day after day. Whenever he feels that he is unable to continue and that he can't practice, Ecchi will take out the bead with a big fist and say to him, "Relax, I will definitely resurrect you." Every time he lowered the beads, another touching face appeared in his heart. It's Lian Rulan. Does she listen to herself and take other people back? Shouldn't she be in danger along the way? She should be worried about herself. Ecchi suddenly realized that in fact, he would also worry. This worry has nothing to do with trust. It is only because there is a counterparty in his heart that he will worry. Thinking about myself is still immature. In the past, the old lady always worried about herself, and she felt annoyed. Huang Zixuan was worried about herself, and she felt that she did not believe in herself. Besides, Lian Rulan really didn't worry about herself all these years. So why did she cut a lot? In fact, this worry is a kind of happiness, but I do not know how to cherish it. In this way, he constantly encouraged himself and continued to cultivate. After 3 months, Ecchi finally reached the second level of the spiritual shadow, and he could release a phantom that can be materialized and battled. This day, the formation in front of the hill bag flashed, a Xingyi boy came out. At this moment, Yirongdan's medicinal power had arrived, and he showed his true content. He did not take Dan anymore, and he decided not to take it anymore. Entering the demon-controlled area this time can be described as a life of 9 deaths. Do you have to face other people's faces when you die? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 621. June 21st enters the demon realm. A day later, he came to the edge of the rainforest, and he could see that there was a green pasture in front of him. The grass was very high, and the roots were all tall. When walking in the grass, no one could show his head. Having entered the demon-controlled area, Ecchi didn't dare to fly, and he trudged in the grass. Suddenly, a wide stream of light swept across the sky, like a shuttle, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared in the southern sky. It's Fias Hu. Yu Minghui, Ecchi was suddenly surprised. 3 months later, Yu Minghui returned. Has he got a condensed chalcedony? What's the situation over there? Based on Ecchi's understanding of Yu Minghui, if this boy can't get the condensed chalcedony, he will not come out even if he died in the demon-controlled area. But Fias Hu had gone far, Ecchi couldn't catch up. If Yu Minghui gets condensed chalcedony, she will definitely return to Kangnan quickly and treat Viang. Ecchi thought about it, he couldn't chase him all the way to Kangnan. Since he can get the condensed chalcedony, why can't I get it? He has a flying boat, and I have a ferry. Men have to rely on themselves. Ecchi turned his head firmly and walked towards the demon-controlled area. I am here. However, after he entered the demon-controlled area, the first thing he saw was a human. It was a group of mortal farmers, who were working hard in the fields, cultivating a very strange plant, like vegetables, but Ecchi was on the earth in Kangnan, and never saw this kind of vegetable. In the distance, it turned out to be a large field of wheat that was about to mature. Ecchi didn't dare to carelessly, and hid in the grass for a while, and determined that there were no demons, so he quietly posted it. Master, I am a foreigner passing by here. Where is this place? Ecchi walked over and asked. But his answer was just oh oh oh. Ecchi smiled bitterly, and once he asked for directions, he encountered a dumb man. The old farmer was also very surprised to see Ecchi, and was very nervous. He kept looking back, and then pushed Yekong outwards, meaning he hurried away. But just as the old man pushed Yekong accidentally hit his wrist. Yekong could not help but tremble in his heart. His ancestors, the old man in the farm, turned out to be a mutant twin spirit root. If this guy is in Kangnan, how many Xianxian Dafa would actively ask him to be a disciple? Brother, don't push me, I'll go there and ask other people. The old man pushed even harder. Yekong knew that the old man thought he was in danger and it was for his own good, so let's go. But at this moment, a human monk flew into the sky. Since it's here, why go? Yekong looked at it, but it turned out to be a young Jadan male repairman. This boy looked very handsome. But what leaves Yekong wondering is that this is not the demon-controlled area. How could there be a human monk? The handsome man didn't have a good face with Yekong. He was flat-faced, stood in the air, and said, "The foundation period, this kind of practice also escaped and turned around, do you want to live?" Yekong wanted to talk to him a few words, but he didn't expect people to be very shameless. He sneered, "The old ancestor of Jadan, it's very good. It's dangerous to show up in front of me." The handsome man laughed, "Dare to build such a arrogant period, so dare to be so arrogant, you are really arrogant enough, look at me as a powerful weapon." When the handsome man came up with the so-called powerful weapon, none of Yekong nearly fell over. "Please, Daiu, don't be so funny, take a Zongpan Fijian and say that it is a powerful weapon? If I take out a superb weapon, won't it become a fairy, and you are all dandan, your magic weapon? You're too entrusted with the applicator for me." Yekong raised his hand and took out the golden shield and broadsword. If it was too good, it would not light up. When the handsome man saw the top-grade magic instrument, his eyes brightened, but then he became alert and asked, "Which lord do you belong to?" "No, what lord? Which adult are you?" Yekong originally wanted to impersonate the locals with this guy, but he really didn't know the local customs, so he had to tell the truth. "I am Yekong, the ancestral monarch of the Kangnan continent. Let him die when he wants to die, Laozi is from Kangnan, Laozi is Yekong. Is Monk Jadan still embarrassing you?" I thought this guy was going to fight, but he didn't expect him to stun. "Kangnan is here? But 10,000 miles south, Kangnan over the Golden Wall. Nonsense." The handsome man was so excited that he quickly lowered Yuntu and walked in front of Yekong, saluting. "The next name is Chiu Kuavang, but the son of the Lord's family, the Chiu family, we have long been looking forward to coming from Kangnan." Seeing this extremely excited and enthusiastic guy, Yekong felt that his brain was down. "Is this the devil control zone? Did you meet your own gorillas?" Hello, I'm from Kangnan. What's the situation on your side just now?" Yekong no longer held his face, and put away the magic weapon. "Go, say to my house, not far ahead." "Okay, Yahalo Road, just go, afraid of you?" A few words along the way. Yekong understood the local situation. This is the demon-controlled area. It is not fake, but the demon have fewer people and do not work, so they support a lot of humans, which is equivalent to slaves. Like the old peasants just now, that is the slave. Chiu Kuavang said that the slave was miserable. He had dug his tongue when he was born, and he was not allowed to read or practice. The purpose was to let them work. Yekong found that the guy talked of these looks ashamed, and obviously sympathized with the slave, so he also had a good impression on him. Chiu Kuavang introduced himself again. They are actually slaves and have no freedom, but they are a little more advanced than slaves, which is equivalent to the devil's doglegs. They manage the slaves and complete the tasks that the Lord confess. The Lord is the demons. Because the demons have a bad temper and are constantly fighting, the family and the other are far away. Each person takes a piece of land and is called the Lord. Yekong asked again, "What is the adult you are talking about?" and how is it different from the Lord? Chiu Qiuabeng laughed, you don't understand. The Lord is the demon, and the adult is the male demon. Every female demon has a territory, and the male demon lives in the city. Ye Kong laughed. The demons are interesting. Women live outside the city and men live in the city. Chiu Qiuabeng explained, devils can't give birth, so demon women are considered useless and thrown out of the city. Although they are called lords, these demon are the lowest among demon people. They will regularly hand in the property or people arranged in the city, otherwise they will be executed by the devil king. Oh, that's it? They said they had passed through the rice fields, and in front of them were rows of humble huts that looked like a village. Corresponding to this, you can see a pointed white jade roof like a church outside. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 622. The situation of the 622 demons. This is our residence, that is the residence of the Lord. Chiu Qiuabeng didn't hide anything, making Ye Kong feel good about him. Go, that's my house over there. Chiu Qiuabeng pointed to a slightly larger, more regular house on the side of the village. On the road, Ye Kong saw a long line of houses in front of a house, old and young, all men, and beside the team, monks maintained order. After a while, the door opened, several farmers came out with their pants on, and several farmers went in at the same time. Ye Kong gathered his ears and heard the voice of a man and a woman inside. This trend is too developed, right? Ye Hollow wondered. Listening to Chiu Qiuabeng again said, this is sheep making. What makes sheep? When Chiu Qiuabeng finished speaking, Ye Kong was furious. It turns out that the Mozu called people two-legged sheep, which is no different from poultry and livestock. Eating a human brain is called drinking sheep brain, raising a nursing woman as a cow is called leaving goat milk, those farmers are called farming sheep, and giving birth to a sheep is called making sheep. All slaves have tasks, farmers have to pay food regularly, women have to have children every year to produce more slaves, and those who can't complete the tasks can only be sent to make food for the demons. These demons treat humans as their slaves, and sooner or later I will kill them all. Ye Kong suppressed his temper and asked, what do you do with the food? Do the Mozu still eat food? Chiu Qiuabeng laughed, these demons are naturally capable of absorbing Reiki, and don't need to cultivate. They don't have to do anything all day, so they are fascinated by human cuisine, and they have also improved their varieties. Many fruits, vegetables, and fruits are not available elsewhere. Unexpectedly, the demons can change their eating habits. If all the people are vegetarian, it is really fortunate for humans. Impossible, they still dominate. Chiu Qiuabeng smiled and led Ye Kong to his house. This is a house that looks a bit like a quadrangle. It is a unique building in this village. It can also be seen that the family's status in the village is revered. At first Ye Kong also guarded against what kind of formation the guy would set up at home. Now, at a glance, there is no such thing at all, let alone the formation, there is no decoration, it is just a poor place. But think about how poor he is when these guys are holding powerful artifacts. Ye Kong is sad for these human monks who live in the demon region. Mother, I'm back. Chiu Qiuabeng walked into the door happily, and shouted cheerfully as soon as he entered, it seems that he really welcomes Ye Kong. Come back, come and see you happy. A woman came out of the inner room, muttering in her mouth. When she saw Ye Kong at one glance, she looked up and down immediately. This is Chiu Qiuabeng's wife asked doubtfully. This is brother Ye Kong from Kangnan, this is my insider. Chiu Qiuabeng introduced enthusiastically, and then added, my lady is the most iconic in the village. Ye Kong would vomit when he heard it, and he vomited blood. This product is still the most beautiful. God, no face, no chest, no ass, and a man than a man, he has a beard. If you do nt say anything, it's okay, but it's so ugly, you say the sign, what is your aesthetic view? Ye Kong's face remained unchanged, and he quickly arched, I've seen my sister-in-law. Ye Kong noticed that Chiu Kuaveng and the woman had a wink, and the woman immediately became enthusiastic. Oh, it's brother Ye, please sit in the room. Yang Yekeng entered the room, Chiu Kuaveng said hello, and went to a room next to him with his woman. Guo Feng, what are you doing? Don't die. How can you accept these monks of unknown origin? Aren't you afraid that the Lord killed you and your father? The woman whispered as soon as she entered the back room. Chiu Kuaveng smiled. Did you hear? He said he came from Kangnan. What about Kangnan? A woman just doesn't know anything, Chiu Kuaveng said with a sigh. The Lord also said that day, the Lord next door, found a man from Kangnan some time ago, made her very comfortable, and said that the man in Kangnan is awesome. There is a special kind of kung fu to wait for women, even the demon tribe can enjoy it. You think, if we dedicate this kid to the Lord, how can the Lord reward us? When they were chatting, they didn't notice that there was a little ant under the table, brushing the tiny tentacles on his head with his thin legs. Ye Kong snorted outside, knowing that nothing was going on. Sure enough, actually thinking about dedicating me to the demon head. But what they said, the Kangnan man found by the female lord next door, wouldn't it be Yu Minghui? This kid is really good enough, in order to achieve the purpose, even use their denominations of acacia power and the three-eyed female devil. Oh, think about it, all disgusting. Kid, you are in my hands. Then I heard Chiu Kuaveng say, Guo Xing's kid has been very pleased by the Lord recently. If you donate this guy, maybe the Lord will let our child return to Yunyeo. With that said, Chiu Kuaveng looked ashamed. My father Mingtang Zhenjun, came here to become the plaything of the witch, and gave birth to me, and with my dad to bear Huan under the witch every day, and bear the burden for so many years. Is it not for our future children to return to Yunyeo? Speaking of Yunyeo, the woman also looked out of the window yearningly, sighing, unfortunately in our lives, we can't see Yunyeo without a demon. Ye Kong didn't understand. Yunyao seemed to be a good place, but he never heard of it. As for Zhenjun, what is it? However, the devil is really BT, letting the father and son serve together is messy. The two of them were surprised for a while, and Chiu Kuaveng said again, this kid has a lot of magical instruments, as well as high-quality magical instruments. If he is dedicated to the Lord, maybe he can get some good magical instruments from him. The woman was also a monk, and her eyes lit up when she heard that. Then you don't accompany him quickly, I'll tell the Lord. However, at this moment the small door was creaked and pushed open. A teenager stood at the door and sneered, it seems that you are really very poor. You don't even have a note, and you are stupid. Even if you don't ban it, just whisper, well, really, I haven't seen anyone so calculated. Okay, let's meet. The Chiu Kuaveng and the woman were born here in the village. Although they wanted to calculate people, how could they know the evil outside, and where did they know Ye Kong grew up in the calculation, so they never expected to be found. Chiu Kuaveng snorted and said, what if you have a good algorithm? I am a monk. I don't believe it, you are better than me. The woman also plucked out the inferior weapon from the waist, pointing at Ye Kong, leave the weapon, spare your life. Ye Kong laughed and shook his head and sighed, well, there are no storage bags, I don't know how you mix. After Ye Kong finished speaking, the small sword weapon in his hand was lifted up, sword gasified silk, the woman and the man with the weapon were split in half. To the reader. Deo friends are so powerful, thank you very much. But there are more guest appearances. Yesterday there were 150 more.